early, Chair. My apologies, a few minutes adrift here. But welcome to this meeting of the Charity Trustee Sub-Committee. Thank you for attending. The meeting is open to the public, but there are some Part 2 items if members wish to discuss them. We'll have to, well, stop the webcast because we don't have any members of the public attending at the moment. No public questions, no petitions. Can you make sense? You switched off your mobile phones. There's no fire test, but we know where to head to Tudor Square if the alarm goes off. For the benefit of the webcast, we'll introduce ourselves, and if officers introduce themselves when they present the report. So I'm Councillor in Auckland. I'm a member Councillor for Graves Park Ward and Chair of this subcommittee. Zahira.
Councillor Zahira Naz, Councillor for the Darnell Ward and Deputy Chair for the Charity Trustee Sub-Committee.
Fran Belbin, Councillor for Firth Park Ward.
Henry Nottage, Councillor for Hillsborough Ward and substituting for Douglas Johnson.
Yeah, Councillor Richard Williams, I member for Stannington Ward.
David Hollis, General Counsel.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Amanda Clayton for Democratic Services.
So, no need to worry about exclusion of the press and public as such, but there are some Part 2 items, as I've said. Declarations of interest, just for the sake of transparency. The Rose Garden Cafe obviously is in the heart of my ward that I represent, Grace Park Ward, and as the report mentions, the prospective tenant of the Rose Garden Cafe has been involved in the campaign, and as a local member I have assisted with advice, but no more than with any other group of concerned voters in the ward or individuals. So I just simply draw attention to that for transparency's sake. I've taken advice and it's not felt it amounts to a declarable personal interest. Okay, so apologies for absence. I've received Douglas Johnson, and Henry Nottage is attending as his substitute, as Henry has made clear. No public questions on item 4. So item 5, pages 11 to 34 in the agenda pack is Rose Garden Cafe lease, and that tells me who's going to present it. It's going to be presented by Alison Turner-Mills and Nathan Rogers. So,
Thanks, Chair. Introduction, Nathan Rogers, Head of Facilities Management. As you say, here to support Alison in the presenting of the Rose Garden Cafe lease. Over to Alison to present the report. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alison Turner-Mills. I'm the Senior Estates Surveyor in Property Services. I was asked to do this report following an approach by the operator of the Rose Garden Cafe currently. So the purpose of this report is to approve this tenancy at will to a new operator, and to show that we've met the requirements of this letting under the Charities Act. So we were contacted by Brew Kitchen, who are the current operators, in February 24, and they are intending to leave under the terms of their agreement. They can do that pretty much immediately. I've since negotiated terms with a new operator who already is fully aware of the site, knows the running of the cafe, and was happy to take on responsibility. So hopefully there will be a seamless transfer, because the tenancy at will basically replicates the current arrangements, and it gives the landlord and tenant both total flexibility during the period while we're awaiting the work of the partnership and what will come out with the long-term proposals for the Rose Garden Cafe. So once that work is concluded, we will be going out to formal tender for a future operator, and the current party that's interested in taking this temporary arrangement on is fully aware of that. So we would like to recommend this report that we allow the granting of this tenancy at will to the proposed tenant on the terms set out in this report.
Anything to add, Nathan?
Just the benefits that, in terms of the report, it ensures, just emphasising them, it ensures the continuity service. It mitigates us against financial losses of a vacant building, and obviously it continues to provide an essential provision within the park of the cafe. Thank you.
Are there any questions from members? Councillor Nottage.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, is the expectation that the tenancy at will would continue until the closure of the building through its inevitable either repairs or rebuilding work?
Thank you. The tenancy at will can stay in place indefinitely. In terms of the scope of works for the building, obviously there are some structural considerations that must be done, but as part of the consultation from the partnership, that will influence that scope of works. Once that scope of works has got a final brief and architects have worked that up into a clear brief, we'll then understand the impact of the cafe. It is likely that there will have to be some full closure for a period of time, but it's hoped that that would be kept to a minimum. But really, I'm second guessing until we understand that. So we'll be as sympathetic to the operator and the length of closure as possible and reduce that to a minimum.
Councillor Belbin.
Thank you. It sounds like a very sensible proposal and certainly one I'd be prepared to support. I just wondered, is there any potential for any conflict of interest arising in the future because the new owner is active in the cafe partnership when it does go out to tender in the future?
No, the tender, some of the requirements that may come on that will come from the consultation. The evaluation of the tenders will follow due process and will be put together and assessed independently. I can't foresee a conflict of interest in that process.
Any member wish to add a comment? Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, Nathan, it's not envisaged that this tenancy at will continue beyond the redevelopment of the cafe, or is that not been decided yet, or is not likely to be?
Yeah, so at some point, the terms of engaging a new operator can be influenced by the consultation and things to play out, but at some point we will go to full tender process to secure a new operator for the cafe.
I don't know if this adds to it, but at that point we couldn't sustain a tenancy at will. We would have to go, and we would have to go through under the Charities Act to get another independent surveyor's report and a recommendation as to the value. I think that's true, isn't it?
The circumstances will have dramatically changed once we know what was going to happen with the cafe. So yes, and it is the intention that we go to formal tender once we know what we're doing with the cafe. So we make sure we meet the requirements of the Charities Act.
Are there any other further comments from members? Okay, the report contains recommendation for approval on page 10. Are we all agreed? If any member wishes to dissent, please raise your hand. I see no dissent, so that is carried unanimously. Thank you, members. So we then proceed to item 6, which is parking fees. I was musing probably fitting note on which I could end, really, a discussion about parking fees if there is one. This is presented by Joe, I think, and if you want to do your introductions, both of you, double act.
Hi, I'm Jo Pearce, Service Manager, Business and Partnerships for Parks and Countryside, and standing in for Ruth Bell.
And I'm Ben Brailsford, I'm Assistant Director of Street Scene Services. Parking Services is one of the teams in my area.
Okay, so thank you. We're here to bring a decision to you around the recent parking charges paper that has gone to the Street Scene and Waste Committee. That went on the 14th of January, and that proposed changes to the parking policy around charges. 3 of the sites that we were talking about within the paper are charitable, which is what we're focused on today. So those 3 sites are Hillsborough Park, Graves Park and Enkley Park. So obviously for the reasons of from a charity trustee perspective, it wasn't possible for those decisions to be taken at the other committee. So really this is a formality in terms of the fact that paper was agreed on the 14th. The proposal was to increase the charges from 90 pence to £1, so a 10p increase. The charges, the proposal was to bring that into effect from the 1st of April, so the proposal will be to do this from around the 29th of April, given the sufficient notice period. This would bring the policy in line with the corporate car parking policy. The parks car parks are based on the peripheral car parking policy, so not the city centre pricing, so it is a lower pricing point, but this would bring it in line and consistent with that. Every other kind of arrangement would stay the same, so there's no proposal to change the hours of operation. It is still the 1 hour up to 4 hours, and then after that it's an over 4 hour max day charge. And I think they're the main key points. Within the report there was also delegated authority for future changes to the Executive Director in consultation with the relevant committees, so assuming this would be a relevant committee. That would give delegated authority for, in line with CPI, and I believe no less than 5p. Yeah. So that's the broad decision. I'm assuming you've all read the paper. Anything to add, Ben?
No, I think it's just there for questions from members.
Any questions? Councillor Nottage.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the report. The calculations for the fee paid by Cycling for All in Hillsborough Park for the containers they use, which are placed in the car park, was based on an estimated lost revenue. Can the council provide assurances that the increase in parking fees isn't going to increase the fees for that charity, given that other things are happening in the area that are having an impact on them?
Yeah, so I queried that with our property services colleagues, who've confirmed that they're tied into, I believe it's a 5-year agreement. We're just clarifying the details, so there would be no increase to their lease fee for the next 5 years, but possibly up to 10 years anyway. I'm just clarifying whether it was a 5-year break with a 10-year rent review period. So that fee is set now anyway, regardless of this paper.
Councillor Naz.
Thank you. Okay, so have fees been increased in non-charitable park sites as well?
Yeah, so the non-charitable site is Mill Houses, so that was included in the previous paper on the 14th of Feb. So yeah, that kind of the wheels are in motion for that site anyway, so this will bring it in line with that. The other site's Ecclesall Woods Discovery Centre, but that's currently a donation only, it's not a charge, so yeah, it's in line, but it's still a voluntary contribution to that one.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarity why this paper's come here, but you've mentioned it in your presentation because these are charity parks. That's why it's come to us for a decision.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that, David? From a charity perspective, that decision couldn't be taken at the Street Scene and Waste Committee.
That's correct, because it has to be a decision of the charity trustee that it is in the interest of the charity trustee itself that the parking fees would be increased.
Does anyone want to add anything, members? Any comments or anything? Right. It's in the supplementary report that we've received. It contains recommendations for approval on page 2. Are we all agreed? We're all agreed. That's unanimous. That's agreed. Thank you very much. That's it. Over and out from me. Thank you.
Could I say something? Not anything to do with that. Just to say, on behalf of officers and Parks and Countryside, Ian, I know it's your last meeting, so thank you very much from us, because you've been really supportive, and it's so just appreciate it, because wish you very well in your one-a-day retirement. That sounds very appealing, but thank you.
Thank you. As well as, I think, hopefully it's been a bit of an education as well, as a witter on about. Thank you very much, Al.